Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the 9 Frames Podcast. It is episode 42, and it is Friday, October 27th, 2023. I am Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
It is the moment we have all been waiting for 6 months now?
Yeah, maybe even longer
The
if you
World
consider
Series.
When pitchers and catchers report in February. I mean,
know,
it's
right?
been a long time.
Yeah, and I know people wait until the moment the postseason ends. The World Series is here again. Game 1 is tonight. Couldn't be more excited.
This is the reason why baseball, in my opinion, is the hardest sport to win a championship in, is because they play basically every single day for 6-7 months if you make the playoffs, and it can be grueling, man. It's a long year.
It's the reason we haven't had a repeat champion in so long.
It doesn't happen.
And a repeat matchup, well, that's even longer, right?
I mean, it's been a while. Teams go back to the World Series, like the Astros and the Dodgers. And
Winning 2 in a row is
it's
damn
tough
near impossible, man.
I mean, the Dodgers almost lost 3 in a row. If they didn't win that 2020 World Series against the Rays, they would have lost 3 in a row.
Very true. That being said, folks, you can catch us for our coverage on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. We're on X at 9 Frames Pod, and our Spotify is 9 Frames. We're going to have a fun time covering this series. It's 2 teams that have fought for their lives since the, honestly, trade deadline. Honestly, the whole year is what they've done.
I was going to say, the beginning
of the
season.
It's what you have to do. Yeah, you got to fight the whole way. This is a marathon, and both of these teams have run it exceptionally well.
A couple of teams that not many outside of their fan bases thought had shots to be here, but they proved everybody wrong, and they're here now, man. And it's down to 2, and they've got a 50% chance in terms of teams in the league to win a World Series trophy.
Going to be an exciting matchup between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers, 2 franchises that really look forward to having a World Series, whoever may have it.
Yeah, and even past this season, hopefully sustained success.
Very true,
because
they of young cores as well. It is an impressive time for both of these franchises. Respect to them. Should be a fun series to watch and cover.
Yeah, we'll get into breaking down the series a little bit more now.
And like we said, folks, there is only one series left to cover, the World Series under the brightest of lights in Texas. Arizona visiting Texas for Game 1 of the World Series tonight in Globe Life Field Friday. That will be a phenomenal game, I'm sure, and I'm sure energy is going to be high in that new park.
Yeah, the American League best Texas Rangers and the National League best Arizona Diamondbacks has a weird sound to it, but hey, they're here, and it's time to bear. You got to win 4 more games.
Rangers franchise showing that government in the area that it was absolutely worth every dollar to build that new stadium, bringing in World Series money right off the bat.
Yeah, within the first 3 years, 4 years,
love
pretty
to
crazy.
See it. That franchise deserves it, and so do the fans. I am hoping the best for both of these franchises, honestly, going forward from here. In the regular season, not that it's very relevant right now, we've touched on it a couple times during the postseason, but Texas went 90-72, and they tied with the Astros and lost that division on tiebreakers on the last day. Might be part of the reason they're here, considering that nobody won at home in that ALCS.
Yeah, I was going to say, they've been the road warriors of the postseason. They have yet to lose, so honestly, it might have been a blessing in disguise for them to lose that division in a way. I'm sure they're a little bit more tired than the Astros were, but it didn't seem to matter as they beat them in 7. So.
Yeah. And also, Arizona on the other side, they went just 84-78, won 6 less games than the Rangers. Obviously, were far behind. 16 games out of their division.
Yeah,
so.
The Dodgers had 100 wins, so.
They only beat the Chicago Cubs by 1 game to make the postseason, so super impressive that they're here right now and that we're talking about them. Hell of a run for both of these clubs, but super impressive for the Diamondbacks to be here.
Yeah, and if you remember late in the season, the regular season, the D-backs and Cubs went head-to-head 2 times in 2 weekends, and the D-backs came out on top of both of those series, and they ended up edging them out by a game, so they did earn their spot here by beating the team directly behind them when it mattered. and then they've beaten everybody else that mattered in front of them.
Cubs had a couple really tough regular season series at the end there. One against the Rockies where they dropped 2 out of 3. You just can't do that, and that's what ended up happening. The D-backs take advantage, and they make a deep playoff run. Really magical stuff.
Yeah, they've taken full advantage of this, man. They looked really good in the series against the Brewers, took it up another notch, and looked fantastic against their division rival Dodgers, and then they struggled a little bit against Philly, but that's to be expected because Philly was there last year. I mean, they went to the World Series last year. They had the experience. They know what the pressure in those scenarios feels like.
Yeah, no, the Diamondbacks eliminating the Dodgers and then the Phillies couldn't be more impressive of a run unless the Braves beat the Phillies in the first place. But then again, the Phillies have been beating them for a couple of years now. So
yeah, I mean the D-backs took out 2 division winners and the team that took out the Major League Baseball's best team in 2023. So I don't know. It's going to be a hard-fought series here.
Diamondbacks and the Rangers are having very similar playoff runs as well. Both are 9-3 in the playoffs so far, losing 3 games in that last series and going 7 to win it. Very impressive by both clubs to be able to close the job out.
Yeah, both way to grit it out. Especially both teams down 3-2 in their respective series, and they both win games 6 and 7 on the road.
Super impressive.
To find themselves in the World Series, yeah, definitely super
Rangers
impressive.
will be led by an absolute stud, the ALCS MVP in Adolis Garcia, and also Nate Eovaldi, while the D-backs look to their MVP, Ketel Marte and Zach Gallen. This was super interesting, I thought. Texas is a team built of 5 drafted players, 12 traded for players, and 9 free agent acquisitions this year. That is their World Series roster, as Arizona has 12 drafted players, 9 traded for players, and 5 free agent acquisitions. So the complete opposite.
Yeah, Texas heavily built through trades and free agency, while you look over at the Arizona side and it's predominantly draft, which is really, I mean, there's no knock on either way. There's multiple ways to build a winner, clearly. It's working for both of them in very different ways. It's really impressive to see, in my opinion, the D-backs with 12 homegrown drafted players to be in the World Series, man. That's half your team.
Very true.
That's impressive stuff.
What's really impressive in this is that both of them have at least 9 trades. 9 trades by one and 12 trades by another. Kind of shows that in baseball you're going to build a winner through the trade market at some point.
Yeah, and I mean, for the D-backs, it makes it feel like those rebuild years actually pay off because they have all these homegrown players that are helping them, and they're still not even done yet. Like, Jordan Lawler hasn't even gotten involved in this series as their first pick a couple years ago.
Very true.
He's on the roster, I believe. He's just not getting in the game because they're playing Perdomo, who's been having a good season. He was an all-star this year. So they got more guys on the way, too. They're in a good spot, the D-backs, and I think they're a little bit ahead of schedule, and they'll take it for sure.
Both of these teams super impressive in terms of talent. The Rangers, I said Adolis Garcia for them. They also have the tag team of Corey Seager and Marcus Semien.
You mean the list can go on and on.
And you look over at Arizona, and they look to guys like Corbin Carroll and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. They are a good
Moreno
team as well, yeah.
They both got deep lineups that can put up big innings very quickly.
And they have throughout the postseason and,
Yeah.
of course, the regular season.
Yeah, it's gotten them where they are. I mean, we've seen 4 or 5 spots from both of these teams in the postseason, so
both having blowouts as well where they scored double digits, so it's been an impressive run for the offenses.
Definitely.
Arizona, in the regular season, that is, went 3-1 over Texas. They played 2 in early May and then 2 in late August, so they are very spread out.
Yeah, odd scheduling.
Texas took the first game at home in early May, as I said, and they did not win another game against Arizona. So as far as we know, with these teams matching up in their current setting, only Arizona has taken it.
Yeah, but you'll take it with a grain of salt because it's 2 quick 2-game series throughout a long and tumultuous regular season. You'd think both of these teams are very different from what they were in early May.
Definitely.
Forget about it. I mean, they're both not only structured differently, like I'm sure different players were on the rosters, but now they're also playing much differently.
Very
Both of these
true.
teams are playing at the peak of their
I mean,
baseball right
you
now.
think about it, at this point in the season, early May, the ace of the Rangers was Jacob deGrom, and Max Scherzer was pitching in New York. So
Very true.
It's not really relevant to the current matchup. The run differential in the regular season matchup was 26-19 Arizona, so it was pretty close anyway.
Yeah, seems like it was a bunch of close games.
Not to mention, it is a very limited history.
Definitely. I mean, I'm so excited for this series because it's two teams that we don't really see match up,
And they,
much
yeah,
like,
so
like
they
you
don't
just
know
said.
each other.
Yeah, it's not a lot of familiarity. It'll be interesting to see who has the upper hand on the other one.
Agreed, fully agreed. Game 1 tonight, man, prime time, the only show in town. We'll see Zach Gallen versus Nate Eovaldi, as we said earlier. Gallen was really solid in the postseason until recently. A really ugly NLCS versus Philadelphia boosted his postseason ERA to 5.24 on the year.
Yeah, we were talking about this morning. I said to you, would you have guessed that if Zach Gallen had a 5.5 ERA almost, that the D-backs would be playing for a World Series championship?
No, I thought for sure he would be one of the keys to them getting here, and not for nothing. Until the last series, he was a big cog in the machine.
I mean, he always is going to be, and he got away with having a little bit more of a rough time in the NLCS, and now, hey man, you're in the World Series, you're at the biggest dance, you're the big games. So you gotta put your big boy pants on and turn it around now.
Yeah, and that being said, on the other side, Nate Eovaldi stays hot in the ALCS, as he's literally always been in October. So, I mean, you got to think, does that continue forever?
He has given me no reason to doubt that it could. I mean, every time he goes out there, it looks like he's a different pitcher than he is in the regular season. Once the postseason starts, he doesn't give up a lot.
No, it's hard to pick against him in October. He's a real heavyweight.
The one team that seemed to figure him out slightly is the Astros, and they still couldn't figure him out enough to get past him. So it's going to be an uphill battle for the especially with him being in front of his home crowd tonight. The Texas Rangers are hosting Game 1 of the World Series. Think about that. That's going to be a rowdy crowd.
And it should be super interesting to see how both Zach Gallen and Nate Eovaldi respond to lineups they really have no familiarity with, because Eovaldi was dealing with injuries during that August series, right? So they didn't even...
Yeah, and
I mean,
also
I'm sure they haven't really matched up much at all.
I mean, just historically in the career of Nate Eovaldi, he's an American League guy basically the
Very
whole
true.
career besides the Dodgers, and that was in the beginning of his career. So he hasn't really faced the Diamondbacks much in a long time.
this group at all, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, should be super exciting to see these unknown matchups. And Saturday, speaking of unknown, will be Merle Kelly, who's 2-1 on the year with a 2.65 ERA. Really good postseason for him when they need him.
Definitely, he's been the one that's stepped up in Gallen kind of faltering a little bit. They've looked to their next. I'd say, I mean, he's as close to a second ace as you can say for a team. Merrill Kelly had a great year again for the D-backs, and he's been the better of the two in the postseason, just flat out.
He's that guy for the D-backs. They have to look for him here in this spot, and they do, man.
Yeah,
Hopefully he bears down again.
He was their Game 7 starter. He gave them 5 quality innings, so they've got a lot of confidence in Merrill Kelly, and it shows that in the numbers that he could back it up.
Kelly will be taking on a TBD for Texas, which I find funny. I'm not really sure why they're doing
There's
that.
2 options.
I personally go Montgomery, but they could go Scherzer. Scherzer's been rough. He's at a 9.45 in the postseason, while Monty's sitting in the 2s. I think I lean Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery has a little more innings on the arm this postseason for sure. So that might be the reason why they go Scherzer Game 2 to give Monty, because they'll have a break after that.
Yeah, they both pitched in Game 7, so it's not really like when they last pitch is a relevant point here.
Well, I'm just saying Monty pitched Game 5
Very
before
true.
that.
Yeah, very true.
So if they go Scherzer tomorrow, then they have at least Sunday, and then they can give Monty Monday.
Good point. Yeah.
So they might go Scherzer tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised because Montgomery did also, like you just said, come out of the pen in Game 7 to get the win.
That is true.
So they might give him an extra day as a little thank you.
Yeah, so Game 1, a fun matchup between Zach Gallen and Nate Eovaldi, and Game 2 will be Merrill Kelly versus either Montgomery or Scherzer. Not sure yet.
Also, if say the series goes deep like seven games, that would line Jordan Montgomery up to start Game 7.
That it would, yeah, good point. Last time they did have Scherzer lined up for that spot, and it kind of cost them.
This would be their opportunity to
So
flip it.
don't be surprised, folks, if you end up seeing Scherzer start that game too, but I do think it'll depend a lot on how the Rangers play in this first game.
Yeah, if they lose this first game tonight, they might just say, screw it, and just go to Montgomery because
Put
he's
your
been
best
more
out.
reliable, yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I think that's why it still is a TBD. They're leaving their options open, but it'll definitely be one of those two, I'd assume.
Yeah, no, it has to be for sure. We will pick this series up on Monday's episode after Game 1 and 2 will have been played. Game 3 is Monday night. Obviously, we know where the Diamondbacks are going and fought, and you would have to assume that the Rangers go to either Scherzer or Monty, whoever doesn't go that second game.
Yeah.
And that will be taking place in Phoenix, Arizona, Chase Field.
Yeah, definitely. So that's really cool for Brandon Pfaadt to be the one that has the first home game in the World Series as a rookie for the D-backs. I mean, how old is Brandon Pfaadt? He's got to be, 26, 25?
Yeah, I mean, regardless.
He's 25 years old, so the last time the D-backs were in the World Series, my man was 3 years old.
Oh, he's only 25.
Yeah, he was 3 years old.
Damn, yeah.
And now
that's-
he's starting their first home game in the World Series again.
Yeah, very crazy to see. Become a household name, a guy who pitched for the Reno Aces just this year, man.
And now he's got a 2.70 in the post. He's doing his job.
Yep, you're right about that. Very impressive, and
He's-
a big reason of why they're here right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's given them a chance to win every single one of his
Since
starts.
that first series in Milwaukee and onward,
Every playoff start, he's given them a solid chance to win, and I'm pretty sure they have won all of his starts.
tip of the cap, Brandon Pfaadt.
Yeah, definitely.
And it is official prediction time. We got
Oh, boy.
who you got, how many games does it take, and the World Series MVP. I've thought about this a lot. What about you?
Yeah, I've got my mind made up on both of those picks. Well, all three of them, actually. Who I got, how many games, and my MVP, but I want you to go first.
It was a tough one. The Diamondbacks keep making me the fool. We picked against them throughout the entire postseason, and I can't stray from that right
Wow.
now. I want,
Really?
I want to pick the Diamondbacks, man, but this is crazy. They're on a World Series run right now with 3 starting pitchers on the roster. When you look at the Rangers have 6 legitimate game starters,
Yeah.
guys you would throw out there and feel confident in
Yeah.
a postseason game, all the way down to Heaney, John Gray, and Dunning.
They even have Martin Perez out there if you
Yeah.
want to stretch it a little bit further.
Very true. So all the depth there, and the fact that I do think the Rangers lineup is better than the Diamondbacks lineup
That's
on
fair.
both of their best days. I take the Rangers in 6 games. The World Series MVP might be where the surprise comes, because I look back at the Steven Strasburgs and the Kurt Schillings and the Cole Hamels, right?
Mm-hmm.
I look back at them, and I think that's Nate Eovaldi this year. I think
Okay.
Nate Eovaldi is the World Series MVP. I think he's going to have 2 phenomenal starts in the 6-game win.
And then maybe he'd come out of the pen for 7.
And maybe he does come out of the pen for 7, and there you go, would win World Series MVP. That's my pick.
That's a good pick.
Rangers in 6, Nate Eovaldi. That's me.
I've been giving it some thought as well before this, and honestly during it, as we've been talking about it, with how they match up and how the series is lining up. I think I have to agree with you on a couple things. The Rangers lineup is for sure better. Like we saw it throughout the regular season. They have a better offense. Now the thing is, can they be neutralized? Because we've seen the Rangers, they're a very streaky team.
Very true.
They could go completely cold in this World Series, and it could just turn around just like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that about the Rangers, but when you look at the Diamondbacks, man, they had one of the biggest down streaks in the whole season.
Yeah.
Definitely for the playoff team.
That being said, I'm also not going to stray away from the Rangers pick, and I'm also going to agree with you on the 6 games.
Yep, there
I
you
think
go.
the Rangers are going to win the World Series in 6 games this year over the Diamondbacks, and World Series MVP, I got to think he's going to put number 2 on the mantle. Corey Seager. He's going to win his 2nd World Series MVP. This is going to be the series where he goes on a torrid stretch, like they can't get the guy out. Hopefully I'm right, because when he's swinging a hot bat, they've got 4 games in Texas out of the 7 potentially where he is most comfortable hitting. I think Corey Seager will be your MVP in 6 games for the Texas Rangers, who will win their first World Series championship in franchise history.
Would be super impressive to see him getting World Series MVP in both the NL and the AL for both of those teams. And, man, that would be history.
I like the Eovaldi pick, though.
Yeah, we both have Rangers in 6. I do see this being one of those starting pitcher years. You go through the history and you see it every once in a while. Our last one, Strasburg. Bumgarner got one, too. I think Nate Eovaldi adds his name to that list. And I think this is going to be a really fun series to cover.
I think Eovaldi had a shot at he had an argument in the 2018 World Series against the Dodgers for the Red Sox.
That
with
was Steve Pearce, yeah.
I think Eovaldi had a shot. If you remember that Game 3, he was the one that came out and went deep into like the 18th inning.
I think he was the other one that everybody else was picking. It was either going to be Steve Pearce or Eovaldi.
So, I mean, maybe he'll get his this year.
I think it's time, yeah. We both got Rangers in 6. I got Nate Eovaldi. You got Corey Seager. And, man, folks, all we can do now is lock in and watch the 2023 World Series.
Yeah, 7 games left potentially in another great baseball season. Very unpredictable playoffs. I know a lot of people have complained about the new playoff structure, but I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah, I never get to the end of a baseball season and have more negatives to say than positives.
I think the fact
I'm going home happy again.
I think the fact that Diamondbacks were the last team in, they beat the Brewers who won a division, they beat the Dodgers who won a division and 100 games, and then they beat the team that's got the Braves number for the past 2 years when they've been the best team in the NL.
That would be people's complaint. Right?
Yep, I mean that's not what's the complaint though. It's they're winning games when they have to win. You can't look at these 7-game series that the Rangers and D-backs just played and won, and you can't fault them.
When they both go 7, you definitely can't ping it up to any kind of fatigue when you look at the Phillies either, because the Phillies came from the wild card series as well. Played just as many games.
I think the postseason was a little bit slower in the wild card and divisional series because it was a lot of sweeps and 4-game wins. But since the CS started, it's been those 2 championship series were fun, man.
Yeah, they definitely were.
Hard-fought games every single time, and I don't think that's going to stop in the World Series.
No, fun championship series and a very fun World Series coming up. Somebody is going to get the trophy, and it's going to be somebody who really has been waiting a while for it.
Yeah, I mean, 22 years is the shortest amount of time, and then the longer one is ever. So
yeah, and how long is that?
In the 60s, I believe.
Man, a long time for the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Somebody is going to hoist that trophy, folks. Keep it locked in. We'll talk to you on Monday after Game 1 and 2 and set up the beginning of the week then. Thank you to everyone for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, following.
As always.
Wherever you do. This has been episode 42 of the 9 Frames podcast, our Jackie Robinson episode. And this has been Friday, October 27, 2023. I've been Bill Whalen.
And I've been Mike Whalen.
Be sure to catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify's 9 Frames. And our X, or Twitter, is at 9 Frames Pod. Man, we got our World Series set. We have set you up for the first 2 games that will take place this weekend. Lock in, man, Friday Night Baseball. It can't get any better than this.
I think it's going to be a hell of a series and a hell of an ending to a great season. Going to be sad to see it go, but it'll be really nice to see a starving fan base and franchise finally be crowned a champion.
Yeah, it's nice to know that we will be ending this season, at least for me, and I think definitely you too, with a smile on our face.
Oh, yeah.
Because no matter what, these are franchises that are well-liked.
Both are
by us, at least.
Both are a feel-good story.
I know they got their rivals who are probably looking at them pretty negatively.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, the whole AL West and the NL West, but everybody else, man, we're gonna hold our head held high, and we're gonna have a good time watching these 2 teams play for what would be Texas's first World Series and Arizona's second.
Yeah, can't wait to watch them battle it out.
Should be really fun. Lock in for a great weekend of baseball, folks. Enjoy.